Have you found yourself at a stage in your life where you're questioning all your fundamental understandings? Or maybe you've been doing that for a while and now you're trying to align yourself with what you personally value. Maybe you would like to hear a story of how this process went, and so you can see where maybe where you're going. If so, then this video is for you, because today I'm going to share my personal experience with deconstruction and reconstruction. So I'm not going to do my whole life story. I'm just going to use one specific example. And the example is going to be the verse in Jeremiah, I don't remember it exactly off of my head, about the heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. Who should know that? Who should know it? So I grew up in a Christian church that liked using this verse, about using it against like not trusting your emotions, and you have to only trust the Bible because you can't trust your emotions because it's deceitfully wicked. And I believed a lot in that or whatever, because there is a fundamental truth in there that I really agreed with, which is it is not good to just go off on your own and just doing everything without any kind of North Star. It's not a good ideal to totally reject truth or the nature of truth, or not to have any kind of moral standards and stuff. That only leads to places that, are self-destructive. I saw that a lot in my family. I had a sister who completely self-destructed, and drugs and things like that. I just knew that not having any kind of North Star was not a good ideal. And I knew myself enough to know that I don't necessarily have my best interest or other people's interest, and that I have a lot of things that need to be worked on. I just always have been a person that's very naturally in tune with all of my motivations, which is unfortunate, because even when I would do good things, I would always be aware of like that little, any kind of lingering thing that I was doing that was in my own self-interest or selfish. So I took this verse to heart for a very long time. But then it ended up creating cognitive dissonance in me. It started doing things that were even harmful to myself. I started like that inability to trust myself and do things ended up causing a lot of anxiety in me. It ended up causing a lot of problems for me in the form of anxiety and depression and things like that. So I eventually came to a point in my life where I really needed to look at my understanding of this verse and the fundamental understanding of this concept that my heart is deceitfully wicked above all things, and who can know it. So this was a very uncomfortable and scary thing, because I definitely like to use the Bible as my North Star. I like the truths in it, and I have lived them enough to know that there is a lot of truth in the Bible. But it wasn't working. This verse in my life was not working. It definitely wasn't sanctifying me. It wasn't making me more like Jesus. In a lot of ways, it was making me more selfish and further away. Like, it was like, when I was really honest with myself, I was like, I was not going in the direction that I wanted to go. So I had to deconstruct that understanding. And that meant setting that verse to the side for a while, and maybe considering the fact that maybe I could trust myself. Maybe I could trust my heart. Maybe I did know things. And that was a very difficult process to me, because no one in your church is, a lot in the thing or whatever is going to tell you that to set a Bible verse aside and look at your inside you. But what I found while I did that is, when I asked, like, why was I wanting this verse? Why did I need this verse to go into it? I was realizing I was actually using this verse not to do growth work that actually needed to be done. It was my excuse. So I am a recovering people pleaser. I am also having a lot of social anxiety. And so I found in my deconstruction process that I actually like to use this verse to justify my people pleasing. So if I can't trust myself, then I have to look to other people. I have to outsource things to other people. And then trying to get their needs met so that they're not mad at me makes sense, because if I can't trust myself, like, yes, trying to trust the Bible, but this is how it actually worked out. I was outsourcing my ability to decide what was good or bad or things to the outside world and to other people. And that was not a fun thing to realize, on how much I actually was justifying my unhealthy, bad, even sinful behavior with this Bible verse. Because if your heart is deceitfully wicked above all things, then you don't have to look at yourself. It's very easy to just, I'm just going to read a scripture and that's going to change anything. And then you don't have to actually take any self-ownership of your actual motivations and intentions. And that's what I had to, when I deconstructed my fundamental understanding, that is what I came to. And then my reconstruction process, I had to really take a look at my values. And I really decided that I wanted to be a sovereign individual, that I really had to get rid of the people pleasing, that if I really wanted to work out my faith the way I wanted to, where I knew I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, I couldn't be caught up if people disliked me or not. If they got mad at me. Especially when you're doing things that the Bible tells you, it's going to make people mad. Maybe, and oftentimes other Christians, because you're challenging them. People don't like to be challenged out of their comfort zone. And that was very important to me, to be able to have it was a very value that I wanted to grow, and I wanted to have personal sovereignty, and I wanted to be able to integrate that into me, not so I'd have an excuse to do whatever the heck I wanted just because that was my decision, but because I was making decisions off things that I actually read, I actually prayed about, what I actually researched in a way that was challenging to me and going to incite me to grow and become more like what I want to become in my faith. And that, because nobody else could tell me to do that. Because God, my heart is different than your heart. It's different to other people's hearts. So my sin is different than your sin. And me being convicted on it is personally to me, and I have to listen to that personal conviction if I actually want to grow to become the person I want. So that was very important. So that's become a personal value for me, that I value personal sovereignty and people's ability to be able to self-reason. So I still believe that you need to have a North Star. You need to be anchored into truth. You cannot discard it. It's not that everything is relative and that everybody has their own personal experience, and that's the only thing that matters. It's that both are there. So in The Courage to Dislike, he tells a story. He gives an example of a well water. That well water, he says, always test at 18 degrees. And that when you drink that water, when you're hot, it feels cool and refreshing. And then if you're freezing, it feels warm. But it's the same 18 degrees. And so that's what I found when it comes to dealing with the fact that maybe I don't always have the brightest eyes ideal. Maybe I do have a sin nature that wants to do things. But that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean I have the ability to outsource everything to other people. Because the problem is that other people also have the same problems. And if they're, so someone is telling me directly, maybe what the Bible are saying or what I'm doing, they have the same situation. So it makes no sense. I have the ability, I've been giving the intellect to make those judgments for myself. And that's what we should be doing. And so I still more so believe that I need to make sure I have an North Star that I'm aligning to, that I am very intentional to be trying to work towards becoming the person I want to be. That's got character, integrity, and morality. And I'm working towards those things, and I can make those self-determinations. And that I don't have to disregard things just because they might be coming from a more feeling base, or doing things just because my heart is deceitfully wicked, and that doesn't have to shut down me trying to express myself. So that's just a little story about my deconstruction and reconstruction process on working through it um, with that North Star. And so I hope you find that helpful. And I hope if you want to learn more about reconstruction or deconstruction, you can check out our integrated thought playlist that has a lot of our psychology and philosophy concepts, including deconstruction and reconstruction, including getting lost in deconstruction, which I think is very important because it's very easy to go off the rails when you're deconstructing, and also misguided reconstruction, because just because you're doing the deconstruction and reconstruction process does not mean you're going to become more integrated. You can actually become less so. You can become less of a whole person. You can become more narrow. Rather, you can get further from peace and joy if you go off the rails on this and you don't have a North Star. So I hope you check out that playlist, and I hope this video helped, and I hope to see you in another video.